Now broadcasting.
Is it recording? Yeah, it's recording. We'll give everybody a couple minutes here, Jack. So,
Yep, works. Coming in.
yeah, it's recording now. So, yeah. Welcome y'all for coming in. So,
Welcome, guys. We'll give them a few more minutes to get in here and get situated. We'll get started enrolling here. So, while we're doing this, let me go ahead and introduce this is Mr. Shawn Williams. He is the machining teacher here at Bradley Central High School. We're going to be showing you teaching students how to meet industrial standards through project-based learning. This is a lot of the stuff we do here conjointly and individually. So, Mr. Williams, I'll turn the show over to you.
all right, thank you, Dak. Hey, yeah, this is Shawn Williams. I'm at Bradley Central High School. This is like my 13th year teaching. It's one of the things, as you go through the years, and like I think y'all are the ones who got more experience than I do, because I learn from y'all. And it's one of the things as a teacher, we learn from each other. And I think that because, we co-teach a lot. It's one of the things as we go through this, I just want to point out some things we start out with and how we end, and even how I'm thinking about even starting this year as the virtual trainings go through. So one of the first things as, we do projects with companies, and to do that, one of the first things that you have to begin with is safety first. If you have a company, those are your standards. So you have standards, you got to teach for safety first. So either how to use certain power tools, or just how to measure properly, or even the proper how to keep the tools clean, the proper use. Here's me as a high school teacher, and I don't mean in like a negative way, but sometimes we have to go back and even teach students on how to use a broom or a mop, because and once you show them that, they hit it out of the park with that. So I want to thank Dak for being here with me as a co-host. He's going to join in quite a bit, and as we do this, like I said, safety is a big thing. So one of the first things that I recommend doing is, as far as if you have a company that you can work with, that find the chamber of commerce in your area, and then that's how it begins with me, and then that way they can write letters back and forth or emails. Far as we have an advisory board, where I can ask my advisors, what do you expect? If a student were to put in for a job right now, what kind of skills do they really need to apply for here? And of course, most of the time now they want soft skills, how to write emails, how to talk, because sometimes they'll show them the skills. But and then one of the things about in the workplace, one thing I pick out, I tell students there's like 3 things you need to do to get a job in the workplace now, or to keep a job, and that is, first off, you have to pass a drug test when you do that, and then when you show up on time, you have to work. So those 3 things is the thing you start out with, teaching the students how to apply this to the workplace. So as we go through this, one of the things I found out is find teachers in your area, find teachers in your school. I work with DAC a lot in the school. I work with the colleges for Cleveland State or TCAT Athens or Chattanooga. There's ways that you can build a relationship, because I'm going to show some projects that even there's projects that the colleges need help on. And one thing that I found out is, let's say that you don't have a lathe or mill or a certain tool. One thing I found out is there's people out there that will help you. So you can help design. So have students learn how to, communicate with each other through email. So that's one thing I found that works. Like there's one situation where we done a project that I took on, and really it was on me because I said, yes, we can do that. But then after looking at it, it was going to be very complicated for us to do. I mean, it took like 50 hours compared to 30 minutes compared to somebody. So what we done as a high school is we designed it, we drew it on SurfCam, and then we sent the model to a company, and they was able to had it water jetted out for us. And then as far as the cost of that, there are advisors, so they're helping the school, and it worked great for them. So the students got to see something that they designed. So find schools around, find teachers that help. So some things that you can do. Let me share my screen right here. Now this is one thing we did right here. So, I mean, it's just a panel, but, for students, let's say you in a meal like this, you can have it set up. So the students have to learn how to set the machines up properly. So with that being said, you have one thing I love about projects for the workplace is it's a real world atmosphere. It ain't like it's gonna be all the same. So they have to think outside the box on how to set things up, on how to hold that piece to cut it. So if it's cut materials or cutting, like I know some people who are making face masks right now with the 3D printers, even like a sewing machine. There's somebody contact me over the summer asking about sewing some masks, about sewing machines. Well, I didn't have a sewing machine. So there's things you can use your tools. So when the students learn this, and then how to measure properly. So with this being said, take them back to the basics on how to read a tape measure. It surprised me when they get here, yes, they can use it well, but then after they get back from the summer, they're a little rusty, and they have to relearn that. So on how to apply this. So right here's one thing, and what we've done is we worked with Cleveland State Community College, and then what we've done is we made the things they train their students on to actually for the mechatronics program. Dak, you want to add on right here, kind of explain more kind of what that is, because I go blank here. So
no problem. So what you got here is Shawn had cut out the panels, gave it to the instructor at Cleveland State where they were putting HMIs and PLCs to it, and this just gave them a little sturdy workstation to hold the devices so they could, program it like they would in the real world.
Yeah, so they actually seen hands-on on something, and that's what I'm saying. Find a college, and that took no time to make. Like another project that we worked on together was this right here. Let me see. Let's see. Sorry about that. My screen share didn't mess up there. So, well, as far as the pictures that we did there, I'm sorry if you didn't see that file, but that's on me. But it's one of the things, we did a project for, Valker, and then, here's one of the things that I like about things, we was able to find a company, the students would research that company, and then they would find out what they need to do to find a job there. So, and as we go through this year, it is all virtual. Sometimes I think we're told that we're not allowed no field trips this year to a company. So as far as, we may have to do that in a virtual form. So with that being said, local form. So as we go through this is a PowerPoint, and then I'll be going to share this right here. Do y'all see that PowerPoint? You see that? So that's one thing as we go through this is something that we do every year, as it's called manufacturing week. And as we do that, the students are responsible for researching the company, find their mission statement and all their things like that. So I put them in groups of teams of like 4 or 5 students, and they research that. So the way this works is the Chamber of Commerce will assign different companies to some teachers. And then what it is, the students will spend time for a week. And here's what I recommend. When you start with the company and you have a project, the student and the teacher and their students will actually work together on their project, and they help design something for that company, actually use for them. So one of the things that I recommend after the first year, make sure you got plenty of time to do their projects. I found out, you say, yeah, you have 2 days to the project. We had in teams of 4, one team, it's going to happen in the workplace. And then I'm glad it happened because it showed them what happened. So when one team messed their project up and they didn't work, they had to go back and redo their project. So guess what happened to us? We missed the deadline. So, which is no big deal to the company. It ain't like they're waiting on us, but it taught them and taught how to talk to the company on what do we need to do to make this work. Okay, so we was able to communicate that with emails, with phone call. In the past, I would have my students to send an email to companies, but proofread their emails and let the company know that, the contact person, that this is what I'm going to do. And I even in the past let the student call the person himself. So it works out well. That way they can experience that and say, hey, we had a mishap here. We're sorry. How can we fix that? So this is our plan. So do that. So they've seen that. So this here is actually the PowerPoint that the students took to the company and presented on the steps they took to present from. So like I said, this PowerPoint here that I'm going through is the student led. So yes, it's not perfect, but and the students presented this. So they found the vision statement. One thing that I recommend as well, let the students in the first year, and this is on me as well, let them go through their PowerPoint several times in front of you, in front of the teachers, in front of the class. Let them practice their PowerPoint presentation. If we go virtual this year, there's ways to do it. Virtual is probably what's going to happen this year for us, or even like a virtual field trip. So I am thinking about that right now. So the students will submit their PowerPoint to me as a team, and then I will combine that into one PowerPoint. And I think, Dak, you do the same thing, right?
Yes, sir. And let me interject here. Some of the previous places I worked at before I came into teaching, this was ways kids got to go by presenting things. We got to go to places such as Cancun or New York City just to present these presentations to other companies. So this is a skill that once they get, they can use it outside of school. And that's one of the big things I want them to know, that this is a real life situation, the presentation,
Yeah.
presenting it. So
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think it's, more to it on just how to make something and teach them safety. And they're real proud when they see it working. How they sent me back the videos. When you go through the company on the field trip, it's usually like on the Monday you do research. On Tuesday, a person from the company will come to the school and actually present kind of what they need from us as a project and show us what they have in mind, which before this happens, I'm in contact with the person and I tell them, I know I can do this or not, before they waste their time. So sometimes they would give us like 3 or 4 options to do that. So with that being said, so going down here, so the students would turn their work into us, like I said, in groups of that. And history is one thing. And then like I said, on the Monday, this research is done. Tuesday, the company will come and talk. Wednesday and Thursday is kind of usually when we would actually make the project ourselves, and actually we do that. And Friday, it's a field trip. So the students spend all week. This year, I done it a little different because it was more complex part. I recommend more like 2 weeks. That way you get a good feel on the PowerPoint. They can spend time, because students will mess up something. and then if we had to restart, you're about 2 days behind again. So I love that because you're able to show them, hey, this happens in the workplace as well. And then the company knows that. So the students are, they take pictures, and then if you take pictures of students, especially just make sure it's okay for the media and sign papers, all that. So they take this and present to the company on how they set the machines up, the safety stuff required, and it goes down to that. So even how to, and then we went to Eaton, and this is their safety product. So we was able to make a project for like the drill press for a fixture where they can change in and out very quickly for setups. And he was supposed to send me the video for this, and he never did, so I'm sorry about that. But it's good to see, in some of these places, like Dak was saying earlier, I'm going to add to that, but you're not allowed no cameras in the companies. So the pictures we take are very limited. So you can't see the product. So one thing they do is, since I do the machining instructor at Bradley, we take them through the manufacturing side of it. They see about the dies. Since it's Eaton, it was all die work for the most part. They learn about the dies and type of dies. So you can about spend a month on some of this, is teaching about the different forms in manufacturing. And now I heard yesterday they're adding a lot more of the 3D printing to the situation. That's right, Dak, to the
Yes,
standards. Like the first standard of the manufacturing is going to be more of the 3D printing involved in that. So one thing about this here, we get a print, and this is like my team 2. They do this as well. It's the same mission statements and all that, which I'm not going to read all that. I think one of the things too, I tell students, when you learn to talk in front of people, and I'm just going to tell you, every time they've done a great job, the companies are very proud of the students. Are they nervous? Very nervous. Dak, I think you want to talk about, I think I'm getting close to you here in a minute, but they freeze up some, but that's what I'm saying. Let them practice, because the more you do that in front of people, the better it is. So that's one thing they learn from that. And then one person, and they've done great here, but when they got there, they froze up. So, but then you got students, or half of them, hey, say this. So when they get that first or second word out, that thought, and then it begins. So it happens, and then, but the companies that I pick to go to, and our chamber does a great job, and you have to work as a team. But they're here to help the students, is what I'm finding out. They want to support us as schools, and because that's their future they're getting there. So they're adding to this. So of course, I had 3 groups in this one. Here's one thing I'm picky about. If you do a company, or from the chamber, or from a college, that you can contact that person, find out all the job titles in that. Because one thing about an interview, I've been helping an interview here the last few days on some things that I've been helping with, but it's one of the things that they want to know, is a student really researching that company? Do they know about their products? Or you just want a job? But they want a career, is actually what we do this. So go through this. Like I said, this is students working right here. One thing I was kind of weak at very first, and I'm getting some better, I hope, is to take pictures of students working. Like I said, make sure it's okay and all that. But they're proud of that when they're working and they see something work with their hands. So, and it's safety, and it's one of the things you can relate to the students. So like I said, this is the history. This is a team 4. And they have to explain to the company when they get there on how they made the project, the things they learned, the history. So, and even if I was not going to the company, this is a great way to even, in the past, I would have students make certain projects. They would have to present that in front of the class, the steps they took, and on how they manufacture that part. on the things they messed up on, you know, how they changed that. Because one thing about, I guarantee you, the last 2 times I've done this, the part that's messed up is like took 4 pieces to make one project. Every time, I mean, the second project came out faster, it came out better, and then the student was amazed at that, but because I knew it would. One thing that, of course, right here is going to change a little bit about the peer tutoring. I'm really big on that, but I'm going to have to change it up a little bit. I probably have one person at a time at a machine, and then each person would have to inspect that. So that's going to change in the fall. I mean, it is going to change. So, but I'm hoping that's going to change very soon because you know, this is how we need to teach. Right? First, peer tutoring and teamwork is one thing. First, you know, Dak been a blessing to me coming here on campus. He teaches the mechatronics program. We done a grant together for TBA, and with that grant, we got $500, and then we was able to go into the lab and actually make some threads on a part that we was never able to do here because of the tooling cost. You know, yes, you may have the right equipment, but sometimes you need tooling or you know, new cutters or. So there's all kind of grants out there to write. I write about 2 a year average. I think Dak done 1 year last year, right, Dak?
I've been part of. I've not
Yeah.
wrote one yet.
Yeah. Well, I
But I've
mean,
been part of
it's a
several.
team.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as opportunities out there is really what I look for. It's one of the things that as I go through life and teaching, I don't care if you got 1 year experience, 2 year experience, work as a team because that's how we get our ideals. I don't know it all. I mean, I tell students, if you get somebody in this type of field and they say they know it all, they're lying to you, or you stay away from them. One thing I teach students, I really try to push this before Dak takes off here for a few minutes, is I tell students when they go to the workplace, because this is what we're applying for. We do work-based learning opportunities. One thing I tell them to do, because for the most part they respect other people, but I tell them, you find somebody that has, you know, gray hair or no hair, that's your people with experience. And that's one thing about teaching, work as a team. If you go in there and say, hey, I got 3 years experience and 2 years in college, and the attitude like you know it all. So I teach them the soft skills as well, along with just the hands-on stuff, because really that's what they're needing in a workplace now, is someone who can talk and respect people. That's one thing on how to do that. So Dak, you want to add here, then we'll.
Sure. I'll just start talking about mine. I got lucky enough to be tuned up at Whirlpool for manufacturing week. I used my dual enrollment class, which is my higher levels. They were able to sit down. They researched everything like Shawn was saying, everything from mission statements to the history of it. And you know, some of that is real good. So, like he was saying, when you go for an interview, this is not only teaching skills here of presenting presentations, but also how you're going to research a company to find out this is a company you want to work for, and have that jargon to talk to an interviewer about their company. So it's not just I'm here for the money, but I'm here for the company. Somebody said something about this would be a great education with a history course. Yes, I mean you can pull in other things, but this is more of the project based learning. You could spin off and do more lessons like you're saying there, just on a history type course. Go ahead and flip the slide. So, like you said, we went back, we looked at the history. I know a couple of years ago we did one with bear, and a lot of these kids were amazed about all they knew was bear was they made foot soles and odor eaters and copper tone. They didn't know the original history of the company, and that was really cool to them to find out this company actually started by making this, and they've also made this, this, and this. It was really cool to them. So this one right here, we were actually teaming up with Whirlpool. They gave us some stoves to tear apart. So we were actually in the point in the class of looking at mechanical fasteners and how things were put together. So this allowed them to actually see in the real world how this was going to be done. and they were able to figure out the types of fasteners they were using, how they were being used in there, and they were able to break it down and show the company their breakdowns. They were going to use this later on as a training process for new employees, so the new employees would know this screw goes here, this type of screw is used here, but not here, and how these machines were going to be put together. Go ahead. Go ahead. We had to throw in something about NASA and the CEO. They were really um, excited to see, like our CEO here. He had worked for 20 years for them. They see the benefit of coming to a company and working your way up and getting that. Even the people there, they were talking about how several of the employees had worked their way up into management. The guy that came and spoke to us, uh, that was on a Tuesday, like Shawn said, he told everything about the company, told about himself, told about his education. So a lot of these guys that were on the fence on, do I need to go to college? Do I need to go to trade school? They got to hear from a real world person, this is what I did. So.
Hey, may I ask something just real quick there, Dak?
Go ahead. Yes.
Further comment about this works good for English, and it works good in math too. So I was going to add that as well, but that's great ideas. You know, as CTE, we're for the most part, in the past, required to have lessons for math and English, and me and Dak both worked for like a beta club. So we did competitions with that this year. So, you know, all this can be in with, I think I worked with a math teacher on, you know, designing, actually, you know, making a pen for that club. So that's a great idea. Find an English teacher, find a math teacher. There's all kind of math in, you know, manufacturing, even English. I'm sorry, Dak, how to say that real quick. So.
No, that's good. You can go ahead and click. So we're looking at the parts they're making, their products. Keep going. We will look at the Cleveland factory alone because that's in our own hometown. And like I said, these guys were really, they wanted to come help us. The way we got in contact with them was through our local commerce, Cleveland Chamber. They set us up with a contact person, whether it's an HR person, a PR person. Sometimes it's a lead engineer. So that's how we usually get those through Cleveland Chamber. They set it up. They give us the contact person. A lot of times they're already on our advisory boards, or we have people on that advisory board. So that always helps. You know, you keep getting told as a CT instructor, use your advisory board. This is the part. We use our advisory boards for this. Get to where they're actually doing the stuff. So I think I got some pictures of them doing stuff in there, Shawn.
For safety.
Of course, we went through PPE. Okay, it must have been the other one. So disassemble. This is it. So this is the grill they gave us. And you can see they gave us one straight off the line. There was sometimes a couple of parts that didn't work, but usually they're a defect. Instead of them scrapping it out, they gave it to us to disassemble. Go ahead. And just like Shawn, I went through electrical. I went through the mechanical aspects. We were able to see how all these parts went together in a real life version. The kids were able to then take what they learned. I did 2 grills, so I did 2 groups. The groups, I kind of let them have a team leader. So the team leader assigned group dynamics. This one's doing pictures. This one's working on presentation. This one's working on the tearing down. So kind of like you would in a real world situation. And here's your timeline of how they disassembled it from the beginning. They went through and just gave bullet points, laid out. They gave their parts, and when they were presenting this, they were telling the people, this is what we found, this is what we saw, these are the things we encountered. And it reflected what they already knew at the company, but from seeing it from somebody who's never ever worked in the company, they saw points that they could use and turn around and use it for a training process. So
yeah, that's one thing that I'm going to add right there, because that's one thing he said. They have teams in the teamwork. He have a team leader, which I have a team leader every day, every week. So when things happen, you know, let's say they had a mishap or they made a mistake, which they will. Here's my answer to them. You know, they come to me and I say, well, what did the team leader think about that? So, you know, like Dak was saying, let students make their decisions. Now, I'm not going to let them get hurt or hurt the machines, but if it's something where they can learn from that, Dak is correct on that. So let students have mistakes made in the classroom on that kind of stuff that they learn from that. So
I mean, as long as they're not getting hurt, the failure is a great thing. We had a problem trying to disconnect it. They did not go in a star pattern. They just went clockwise. But once they got that final one on the screw, it was so tight, I had to move everybody back, put my safety gear on, and use a Dremel to take the head off the screw. Where they learned why we need to go in a star pattern when we're tightening this, as well as to undo it because the pressure that's put on it. So, go ahead, Shawn.
So, I mean, like you stop there just for a second. I think that's so for those questions, we can have about 10 minutes here. Ask a question just a second, Dave. I think it's one thing I just want to say thank you for your time. But it's one of the things, find somebody to work with. I find it one of the things I learned the same time as the students learn. You get to meet new companies, and sometimes it's even me as a teacher to reach out to a contact person myself and say, hey, how can I make this happen? Or for a field trip. Sometimes, just like this past year, it was through a student. Dak and I share a student that sometimes it's a student. It's like, hey, my parent works there, and then are able to get us in the door. Like I said, that's going to change this year because of I'm hearing there's no field trips for us in the fall right now. But I got some people I'm gonna contact when school starts on how to do a virtual field trip and how that can happen, especially with the ones that with no pictures are allowed. But and far as presenting their presentation, I was talking Dak. The students can actually submit their work to me online through we're like a Google School here, or PowerPoint, however you want to do that. I'll put it, and then they can record themselves and send it to the company and let them present it that way. This past spring, there's all kind of lessons that we had to do on Zoom and stuff like that. But you can record them, and then if a student record themselves on the PowerPoint, it's one of the things that they say, well, that didn't sound too good, so let's do that again. So they can redo that, and then they send it to me. So, Dak, any questions I can answer, or we just want to
Well,
thank
we've
you for
had some, such as we were at the one about it collaborating with like a history, English, or math class.
love it.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, bring those guys in. I mean, some of those kids, that will be a recruiting tool for you guys to build your program.
that's
When those
exactly right.
guys in that class see, man, they get to do this, they get to do that. That's
Yeah.
neat. They'll be there. The other question was the contact for the company to work with. Who do you talk to? Best connections. Companies usually have a PR person for this kind of
Yes.
connection, or what? So you want to
Human
address that real
resource.
quick?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would get with the chamber first, but also find out who is the person over, the HR person, right? Dak, agree with that?
Yes.
That's who I talk to, the HR person. I mean, it's a good thing. I've got some presidents of the company that's on my, advisory board. Find those people. I'm telling you, the students' parents, works in places that you're going to be going for. And the students, I mean, I went straight to the students' parents. They know who to contact. And actually the person that I taught, the student was work for the HR person. So find the HR person, find your chamber of commerce, which is going to be, even the CTE director, helps out a lot. I mean, I contact her. They do a great job, and find that information for us. Believe me, there are companies out there are dying and waiting for us to help on for this. There's a gap right here between skill gap in this world right here, because it just they just not apply for some of this, but the chamber will help out a lot. Like, you want to add to that?
So just like Shawn's saying, if you want that list, Chamber of Commerce, look for the local. Look for your local employment agency. Those guys will give you pointers. This is our point of contact. Your advisory board, your CTE director. If you've got a work-based learning coordinator, talk to them, because those folks are wanting these employees. They will give you, this is our point of contact. This is who we're always looking to. So there's a question. Is there a process you had to go through for the company to give you the rejects or second, or do you have signed? No, we did not have any criteria agreements. They gave us straps. A lot of times, like Shawn's, We've got a welding instructor.
Safety.
They give them projects, and it's little projects that we as teachers can get our students to go through. I've done a lot of, because I teach mechatronics and we're tearing down stuff or building stuff. They do a lot of 1 point lessons or procedures or safety type demonstrations for the company based on their products. And usually they're more than welcome to give us products or have us do these little projects of like a can crusher that could reduce landfill space. And we just
Yeah.
put it together for them.
Yeah, we're designing like a chair, right, for a company here. And here's one thing I like about this, and it's not done because of the COVID, I guess. But
Everything.
you had welding, you had machining,
Engineering,
engineering, mechatronics.
carpentry.
Who was
So
the
you had
Miss Kersey?
carpentry,
Yeah,
you had interior design, you had welding, machining, CAD, mechatronics, work-based learning.
yeah, they work on that project, so
We're
design
all
that.
included in this.
So, and then they learn how to, as far as in this type of environment, time study is very important. The students understand time. If it takes, let's say you're doing production, if you're making 500 pieces in that, and you shave off 1 minute, they don't understand. Their cell phones should be off, and that's one thing about the companies we work with. Before we go through, I know for the last two, and they've done a fabulous job. The students get an extra safety lesson. You wear your PPEs, you wear earplugs. If you don't have safety shoes, here, put these on. Uh, they learn quickly that safety matters in a workplace, and you walk in this line, because the fork trucks come through there, so they learn all that. So, are there any questions, Dak?
No more questions are coming up. You guys got questions?
I got about 5 more minutes here, I think, or I'm sorry, about 10 here. So I was going to just stop there for a second there. So
I think Shawn has put these files out there.
yeah, it's on. I uploaded to y'all, and one thing I uploaded as well to your files was one thing about that I got this in the lesson plans for you. You can actually look at that, change it for what your standards are. I'm not going to say all my lesson plans are this lengthy. They're not. But I'm just saying is I put enough in there where even the information I got from the Chamber of Commerce on the emails that we receive from the Chamber on how it's going to work, or I copy and paste that into the lesson plan. So that way you kind of see how it works, even the conversation. Here's one thing that when this works, the company, I love this. The company gets the same email as I do, but the company has their standards and their things that they got to do on their end as well. So it's up. Usually the way it works here a lot of times is they have the company to contact us, and then they just do that, and it works well. So any questions there, Dak?
Okay, I teach middle school. Do you think companies would have a smaller, simpler project we could tackle at my level, or even projects from high school that my kids get a chance to rethink? Maybe we don't have the same tools, but can follow the project-based process. Of course,
Yeah.
you can do that.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
Small projects.
Yeah.
Me and Shawn were in a meeting yesterday. Even a small project of a 1 point lesson, something that is just how to make a pen. You can do that type of stuff and make a project out of it, and these kids can get the same skills.
Hey, one thing that we do here as well, we have the fifth graders, which is going to change this year. I'm sad to say, but the fifth graders comes on campus here every year, and where the teachers will interact with those students. It's average between 10 and 15 per class, but we do a project with the students, and then something they can actually hands-on. So, one thing about students, if they go to the career fair and stuff like that, they find out, or even take, I think in the past, they have a field trip here on campus, all fifth graders, so they can see what's offered in high school. You'd be surprised if you do contact high schools on how you can help them. And that's how they recruit as well. But I reach out to the colleges as well, because they want all kind of stuff done.
Okay, Shawn, here's a question. This is from a welding instructor. He says his students are driven and motivated, but how are we assigning student grades for some of these projects?
As far as the grades,
Yes.
here's what I do on the grade on this one project. Let's say take this week. If it works and it's complete and they do it in a professional way, they get an A on that. If let's say if it's a team of four and the person three didn't do his work, well then that's their grade. So the way I grade is kind of continues on. They get a grade on how they work in class, on how they are safety, because I grade on safety. If they complete it and if they go to the field trip, they present. Here's what I grade on this: if they try their best in it, and your students, you learn your students. So when and then you when they complete that.
Okay. Yes, Miss uh, Julius Jackson.
She just raised her hand.
Yes.
I don't think she can talk, can she? She can.
Please unmute yourself and ask the question.
I don't think I can.
If you'll type in the chat, we'll answer it.
Yeah, I don't know that can. Since this is a. But it's one of the things I just want to tell you at the end as well. Make sure the students see you having fun with this as well. And that's a great question. How I grade. I mean, to me, I learn my students. They work as a team. It's an A. You agree with that, Dak? I mean, that's what. That's
Yes,
what.
I do.
I mean, I'm just saying that's probably one of the funnest weeks, because that week or 2 weeks that I have as well, because the students enjoy that. They see their hands made it. So just them seeing that, it's an A. And that's how I assess that. So
Okay, Flossie, I'm trying to find you in here to answer that question. I'm not. Okay, I see where you were having technical problems. Do you publish a rubric or how do they get their grades? Was
yeah,
one of the questions.
as far as on this project, yeah, far as me, far as in the manufacturing, far as the rubric is, let's say on their slideshow, they have this many slides. And I think that Dak does the same thing, right? Dak, this many slides, have this many pictures in your slides. So then on the project, we have a print, and to me, that's your rubric. And if it works, it's an A. So as far as me, this is an easy A for the students if they work on this project and they meet all the deadlines like that. So, well, I mean, not a deadline because things can happen, but if they try their best, it's an A. As far as on the rubric, I usually have one per slide. I mean, let's say 5 slides each. You got to have a slide of history, a slide for their mission statement, and then have a slide then working on the team. What are their responsibilities? So all that has to be in there. So if you count per slide, kind of how to do that. So.
I think I've got the two that raised their hands unmuted.
Yeah, that was Jackson. That's what I wanted to say. Just creating a rubric breakdown for those various grades levels that those students go through is a great way of giving them their grades for the workmanship or expertise in the projects that they do.
Okay. Shawn, I think we've got 2 minutes. Do you want to give that keyword?
2 minutes. Well, I ain't gonna show the video. One of my favorite movies is, I guess, on Warful Live, where the kid comes in there and he hits the button. So It is the keyword is hot dog. Hot dog, one word, no space. So, and then right there is my information. If you need any questions, SB Williams. So the keyword is hot dog. And then Dak, you want to add yours there because he's a D Keelan at Bradley
I'm gonna
Schools.
put mine out in the chat.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. So any questions you think of or I can help you? It's one of the things, it's every year it is, but it's one of the things, it's kind of one of the things you just work on it with our teachers as you go through. And that's what's so great because you learn every year. Yeah. We want to thank you all for your time.
Very much. Thank you, guys. If you need something, please reach out to us. We would love to help you guys.
Same here. About 30 seconds, Zach. So I was going to make sure they have fun with this, and it's good. So
And we can stick around for a few more if they have questions.
yeah. Mona raised her hand. We see you. Thank you. We've seen some hands
Okay.
raised.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us the keyword again. I'm sorry.
Hot dog.
dog.
Yeah, hot dog. Hot dog. That's
It's
right.
lunchtime, so
Right.
I got hungry here. So
I've enjoyed
I have
your
a question.
oh, thank you for
I've got a question.
yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you repeat the full title of this session? I
The
came
full-
on late.
Okay.
Okay. The full title is Teaching Students How to Meet Industrial Standards Through Project-Based Learning.
Teaching students.
How to Meet Industrial Standards Through Project-Based Learning.
Okay. Thank you.
All right,
Yes,
thanks,
ma'am. Thank you.
Got two more hands raised, I think.
Oh, are we going to do a survey?
It is
Yeah,
at the
it's
bottom.
Okay. Should it be showing now? I don't see it.
Yeah, it should be on there on your when you log in. You should see a survey, and that's where you put the keyword in.
Okay.
Can you share your screen there, Dak, and show her where it's at? I've got one.
My screen is full and I'm looking at you.
Well, I mean, like you can do the survey after you get out of the. I mean.
Once I leave, leave.
Yeah, once you leave.
Hold on, Shawn.
Okay. Thank you.
Miss Brown?
Hey, Ms.
Yes,
Brown.
sir.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, hang on a
Okay.
second.
So, you see my screen?
Yes.
You see
Yes,
this
I
button right
see it.
here?
Yeah.
I see it. I see it.
That's where you go, ma'am.
All right. After I
Ma'am.
leave. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. No problem.
What did it say about the video link?
I don't know, Shawn. I got one that's got his hands raised. I'm trying to get back.
Is this something that can you upload the video link? I don't know.
The CT Summit, or share the link on CT Summit chat. I'm not sure.
Yeah, let's say saying that one about the video. I don't know what they're talking about.
Cameron?
Hi, guys.
Yes.
Hey,
Where you guys uploaded the files on the CTE Summit, where you uploaded all your files and your handouts, can you upload the link there, or either there's a chat tab over there as well, so we can all have access to it since we couldn't see it today?
What do you want now? I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Okay. You guys made available your lessons.
Yeah.
And your
Yeah.
handouts and your presentations on the file. using the information under the CTE Summit tab where we all joined in. Do you
Okay.
recall that?
I know if I'm looking at my main page,
Mm-hmm.
it's got chat, people, polls, and files.
Mm-hmm. And
Under files,
right there where it says chats, can you go ahead and upload it there?
do you have chat, people, poll, and files right there?
Mm-hmm.
If you click on the files, does it not show the files?
It does show the files, but the video that you guys didn't show today, is that in the presentation, or can you go ahead and send that link? Can you copy
well,
and
that
paste
just
that link?
It was just the
one that said the word hot dog. No, that was nothing there. I just didn't use that part. I'm sorry.
Okay, so that YouTube video was not the video that you mentioned that you weren't going to have time to show?
Yeah,
the
it
one
was,
that
but it was
Tony
something
did
funny.
not show.
Oh, okay, I got it. I thought it was related to the presentation. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No problem.
That's all right.
Any more questions? Okay.
Well, we thank you all for joining today. Have a great lunch.
See you guys.
All right. Are you going to end that day?
Ended.
Thank you.